An 8 feet tall, 400-pound, white, fluffy, adorable creature is swimming around, panicking. She has new cubs on the way, and she needs to find a place to raise them. However, the ocean seems to have not a single glacier in sight. If she cannot find a home for her babies, then her and her cubs will not survive. Unfortunately, this is the case for the majority of polar bears. Because of climate change, an 8 feet tall, 400-pound, white, fluffy, adorable creature is swimming around, panicking. She has new cubs on the way, and she needs to find a place to raise them. However, the ocean seems to have not a single glacier in sight. If she cannot find a home for her and her babies, then she and her cubs will not survive. Unfortunately, this is the case for the majority of polar bears. Because of climate change, glaciers are melting, which takes away polar bears' habitats. Approximately 68% of glaciers have simply disappeared, leaving polar bears and countless other animals without homes. A couple years ago at Yellowstone Park in Montana, wolves were endangered and they were not put onto the endangered species list. This incident caused wolves to be overhunted by humans. This not only affected the wolf population at the park, but also many other species. Gray wolves were predators of elk, which meant that when there were less wolves, the population of elk increased. This resulted in fewer plants at Yellowstone Park because elk were predators of plant. But there were other species in the Yellowstone ecosystem that needed plants to survive harsh weather in the winter, such as beavers. This meant that less plants meant less beavers. The situation of the wolf shows that all animals are connected and rely on each other within an ecosystem. Even though the beaver and the elk may not be directly connected, they still offer resources to one another in countless ways. So if one species goes extinct in an environment, all the other species would be affected. Did you know that at least half of our drugs created in the past 30 years were either indirectly or directly from animals or nature? Many animals are used for testing medicine to make sure it is safe for humans. If we didn't have enough animals due to extinction, then most of our medicine would not be viable to have. However, we shouldn't only care about animals because they are a source of food and medicine for us, but also because they have the right to exist. Imagine living in a world where people completely forgot about you and just threw trash in the ocean. Imagine being stuck inside soda cans and plastic bags where you couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't move. Imagine losing your family because they didn't have enough resources to live. This is what most animals in our world have to deal with. But we have to find a stop for this. Some ways that you can help endangered species is by reducing the amount of pollution that you put into the environment to minimize climate change, by raising awareness of species at risk of extinction, and by donating your money or your time to animal rehabilitation centers. 3 years ago, I wrote a letter to President Joe Biden demanding him to put wolves back onto the endangered species list. I learned that wolves were endangered due to being overhunted by humans. It got so bad that 90% of gray wolves in Montana were killed. However, if wolves were put onto the endangered species list, then it would be illegal to hunt them, which would immediately help the wolves. A year after I sent the letter, I finally got a response from the president. His letter talked about how he would do everything that he could to put wolves back onto the list. And believe it or not, a couple days after I got his letter, wolves were put back onto the endangered species list. By advocating for the wolves, I was able to make a difference and potentially save countless lives. If humans contributed more to helping endangered species, then all ecosystems throughout the world will be balanced. Lives will flourish and people have better access to food and medicine. All it takes is one letter, one piece of trash that you put into the recycling bin, $1 that you donate to an animal rehabilitation center. What will you do?